What's going on, everybody? We've got a busy Sunday card in Major League Baseball, and this slate gives us a few spots where the numbers and the recent form are pointing in a very specific direction. This is the kind of day where you do not want to get caught up in brand names alone. You want to look at who is in rhythm, who is struggling to cover, and which teams are creating value because of how they are actually performing right now. So let's break these games down the right way and get into the spots that stand out most. First up, New York going into Atlanta. The Mets come into this one after another rough result, and the bigger issue is that this has not been a one-game problem. Their season has been defined by inconsistent offense, and the lack of run production has been a major reason this team keeps falling behind in games. They are near the bottom of the league in runs scored, near the bottom in slugging, and last in on-base percentage. That is not the profile of a lineup you want to trust when the market is asking them to win on the road. Even with a bullpen that has held up fairly well, the offense has simply not given them enough support. That matters because it puts too much pressure on every single pitching performance to be close to perfect. When a team is this limited at the plate, they are much harder to back as a road underdog, especially against a team that has started to round into better form. Atlanta, on the other hand, looks like a team that is starting to settle in a little better. They have already taken the first 2 games of the series and have won 3 of their last 4. That kind of recent stretch matters because it tells you the overall momentum is leaning in the right direction. Even without being perfect, they are showing more stability than the Mets are right now. Their bullpen has also been one of the strongest in the league this season, and that is a major advantage in a game like this. If the starter can get the game into manageable shape, Atlanta has the kind of relief support that can help close it out. Add in the fact that the offense has recently started to wake back up, and the Braves have a much cleaner path to a win. The game total sits at 9, and while there are some trends suggesting an underlean, I am not rushing into that side. The stronger angle for me is Atlanta. The Mets have not given us enough reasons to trust them, while Atlanta is in better form and has already handled this series well. That makes the Braves the more logical side. My best pick is Braves moneyline. Next up, Pittsburgh heading to Washington. This is one of those matchups where both offenses bring real danger, but the starting point is not the pitching names, it is how each team has looked overall. Pittsburgh has been one of the more productive offenses in baseball this season, ranking near the top of the league in runs, batting average, and on-base percentage. That kind of offensive profile makes them dangerous in any game because they can put pressure on a staff from multiple angles. At the same time, their bullpen has been a problem, and that cannot be ignored. If you are relying on late-game stability from a relief unit that has been shaky, that creates volatility, especially on the road. So while Pittsburgh can score, they are not exactly built to make things easy on themselves. Washington is in a different but equally interesting spot. They have one of the best offenses in the majors right now and are sitting near the top in runs and slugging. That is a huge reason this game feels live for offense. Even after a quieter game in the series, the Nationals still have the kind of profile that can bounce back quickly because their lineup has been producing across the season. Their bullpen has not been much better than Pittsburgh's, and that is what makes the total especially interesting. When both teams can hit and neither bullpen gives you much confidence, you start to see why the over becomes the stronger play. This is exactly the kind of setup where a modest total can feel too low for the amount of offensive pressure on both sides. From a side perspective, I do lean Washington at home. They have the stronger overall offensive ceiling in this spot, and if the game turns into a scoring contest, that gives them a real path to separate. But the better angle is the total, because both teams have enough offense to keep this moving. My best pick here over 9.5. Now let's move to Baltimore going into Cincinnati. This is another game where the total stands out more than the side. Baltimore has been putting together a decent stretch offensively, but the bigger issue is that their overall profile has not been dominant enough to justify full confidence on the road. Their offense has been good enough to keep them live, but not consistently overwhelming enough to erase doubt. On the other side, Cincinnati has had a rough season and continues to struggle in key areas. Their offense has not produced at the level many expected, and their bullpen has been one of the more unreliable units in the league. That combination makes it hard to trust them in a cleaner, more structured way. The ballpark context also matters here. This is a setting where you can very easily see runs come quickly if the pitching is not sharp. With two staffs that are not exactly inspiring a ton of confidence and a total sitting at 9.5, the over becomes very appealing. Baltimore also has a path to value on the side. They are the better organized team in this matchup, and even if they are not the most explosive offense every night, they still have enough to stay competitive against a shaky Cincinnati team. But the clearer edge is the scoring market. I like over 9.5 here. Next we head to Yankee Stadium for Minnesota against New York. This is a game where neither side feels especially clean from a pitching standpoint, and that is what makes the total attractive. Minnesota's bullpen has been one of the worst in the majors, which is a huge issue in any game where the starter may not go deep. If a game becomes a relief battle, that is a serious concern for them. The Yankees are dealing with their own problems as well. Their offense has not been producing at the level you would expect from a team with that kind of reputation, and they are missing a lot of the firepower that normally gives them their edge. Even with a decent bullpen, they have not been scoring enough to feel fully comfortable. That is why I think the over is live here. You do not need a perfect offensive game from both sides, you just need enough contact, enough bullpen stress, and enough traffic on the bases to get the number moving. 8.5 is not a huge total in Yankee Stadium, especially with the kind of recent form both staffs are bringing into this matchup. As for the side, I can understand arguments in both directions, but I do not see a huge edge worth forcing. The more natural play is the total, because both teams have enough uncertainty to keep this game from feeling quiet. I lean over 8.5 here. Now to Chicago and Cleveland. This game has a very different feel because both teams are showing very different kinds of strengths and weaknesses. Chicago has been much better offensively than many people would expect, but they are still carrying some uncertainty because of missing production from a key spot in the lineup. Even so, they remain a team that can score enough to stay live in games. Cleveland is more complicated. They have the better home setup and a starter who has had success against this opponent before, which makes them the more trustworthy side at home. At the same time, their offense has been inconsistent enough that the money line is not especially cheap. That is why this feels more like a situational home lean than a spot I want to get aggressive with. The total is interesting, but I am not rushing to take a big position there. The stronger side angle is Cleveland because of the home context and the better pitching history in this matchup. Chicago has been good enough offensively to keep things respectable, but Cleveland has the cleaner overall setup here. My best pick is Guardians moneyline. Now to St. Louis and Chicago at Wrigley. This is one of the more interesting value spots on the board because St. Louis has already shown it can handle this series. They have dominated the first two games and come into this matchup with real confidence. That kind of series momentum matters, especially when a team is still getting plus money. The Cardinals have also looked better recently at the plate. Their offense has been producing at a much more respectable level, and they are trending in a positive direction in the categories that matter most for bettors. When a team is hitting better, scoring more consistently, and already showing success in the matchup, getting them at a plus price becomes very attractive. The Cubs are still the better season-long team on paper, but paper does not cash tickets by itself. Their overall offensive profile is strong, but they have not looked sharp enough in this series to make me want to lay juice with confidence. St. Louis has already proven it can compete here, and that gives the dog real value. The side I like more is St. Louis, and this is exactly the type of game where the underdog can keep things tight and possibly even control the matchup again. My best pick is Cardinals moneyline. Now Philadelphia heading to Kansas City. The Phillies coming off a strong win, and that matters because it gives them a little more confidence heading into this matchup. Their overall offense has started to look much better than it did earlier in the season, and that has been a big reason they are now much more playable in these spots. They have moved into a much more respectable range in runs scored and slugging, which tells you the bats are finally giving the team something to work with. Kansas City, on the other hand, is in a rough stretch. They have lost 8 of their last 9, and the offense has been especially cold. When a team is that inconsistent at the plate, it becomes hard to trust them even at home, especially against a lineup that has recently found its footing. The Royals' bullpen is also a major problem. That matters because even if they manage to keep the game close early, the late innings are not a place where they have been able to feel stable. Combine that with a struggling offense and it becomes clear why they are an underdog for a reason. Philadelphia's pitching situation is not perfect, so I am not rushing to call this a huge confidence spot. But the Phillies have the much better overall team form, the better offensive shape, and the more reliable profile in the matchup. Kansas City just has not shown enough lately to inspire trust. The side I like more here is Phillies moneyline, though it is not a game I'm trying to force. Next, Detroit going to Texas. This is one of the cleaner spots on the board because Detroit has actually been playing better than the record suggests. They have won 4 of their last 5 and just handled the Yankees in a very strong performance. That kind of stretch matters because it tells you the team is starting to build some momentum at the right time. Their pitching has also been trending in the right direction. Detroit has gotten much better starting performances in recent games, and that has helped stabilize a team that has spent much of the year searching for consistency. When a team starts to combine better pitching with a little more offensive life, it becomes much more dangerous as a road side. Texas is not a team I want to overrate just because they are at home. They have some decent bullpen work, but the offense has been uneven and has not produced with enough consistency to separate themselves. They can have a big scoring night, but they can also disappear quickly, and that makes them difficult to trust as a favorite. This game also has under potential because neither lineup gives me a ton of confidence in terms of sustained damage against quality pitching. If the starters hold up even reasonably well, this can stay in a controlled range. That makes the total interesting, but I still like the side more. Detroit has the better recent form, the better value, and the cleaner momentum angle. My lean is Tigers moneyline, with a smaller look toward the under. Now to Tampa Bay and Houston. This is one of the more interesting games from a betting standpoint because Tampa Bay has been inconsistent in some ways, but still has the kind of overall statistical profile that keeps them dangerous. They are one of the better teams in the league in getting on base and making contact, and that gives them a higher floor than a lot of other clubs. Even when they do not dominate, they can still hang around because they create traffic. Houston has been solid overall, but they are not playing like a team that should automatically be trusted at home. Their offense has had some hot and cold stretches, and that makes them harder to lay with confidence against a team that can score in bunches. Their bullpen has also been a work in progress, which is not ideal when you are asking them to protect a lead late. This feels like the kind of game where the total deserves attention. Both teams have enough offensive ability to make this interesting, and neither bullpen inspires enough confidence to completely shut things down. That is exactly how you end up with late runs and a live over. On the side, I slightly lean Tampa Bay because they are coming in with better recent quality in the overall way they've been throwing the ball. But the stronger angle is probably the total. My play here is over 8.5, with a small lean to raise money line. Next, San Francisco and Colorado. This is a classic Coors type setup where you have to think carefully about the number, because the environment always changes how the game can play. Colorado has been very good offensively at home and is one of those teams that can turn a game into a slugfest very quickly. They are not built around pitching stability, and that means every matchup in this park comes with extra volatility. San Francisco, meanwhile, has had a bad season and is still searching for reliable form on both sides of the ball. Their offense has been weak, their bullpen has been shaky, and that makes them a team I would rather back in the right matchup than trust blindly. But this particular matchup does not scream value on the road over a full game total that is already massive. Colorado's pitching is still a major issue, and that is why the Giants are at least worth a look on the side. But with a number this high, I am not eager to chase the over unless everything lines up perfectly. That puts me more toward the favorite than the total. My lean here is Giants moneyline. Now we go to Miami and Sacramento. This is one of the spots where the market looks off to me. Miami has been playing better ball lately and has quietly put together a strong stretch in this series. Their offense has been showing more life, their pitching has stabilized, and they have been getting the kind of results that make them live as a road dog. The Athletics have not been nearly as convincing as many expected. Their offense is decent but not as dangerous as projected, and their bullpen has been a real liability. That is a bad combination when you are laying money with a team that has not been consistently putting games away. This is the kind of spot where the plus money side becomes interesting. Miami has already handled the series well, and they have the type of recent momentum that bettors should pay attention to. The fact that they are still priced as the underdog makes them even more attractive. The better play here is Marlins moneyline. Next up, Toronto and Seattle. This game has a very low total, and that makes sense because both offenses have been struggling. Toronto in particular has been very disappointing at the plate, and that has been one of the biggest reasons they have not lived up to expectations this season. Their offense simply has not produced enough, and that is a major issue in any matchup. Seattle's offense has also been below expectations, even if they are coming off a big scoring game. They still have not been consistently dangerous enough to make me feel great about them as a favorite. The pitching battle gives this one a lower ceiling, and that is why the total is more attractive than the side. Toronto does have some value as a plus money team, but I think the better angle is that the game itself should stay controlled. Both clubs have shown enough offensive inconsistency to justify a lower scoring approach. My lean is under 7.5, with a slight nod to the Blue Jays at plus money. Now to San Diego and Los Angeles. This is where the gap in team quality really shows. The Dodgers have been the best team in baseball for a reason. They have the stronger offense, the better overall record, and the cleaner home profile. They are simply operating at a higher level than the Padres, who have been a mess offensively. San Diego's issues at the plate are impossible to ignore. They have been one of the weakest offenses in the league in terms of batting average and run production, and that makes it very hard to back them in a tough road environment. Even with a decent bullpen, they are not doing enough offensively to stay comfortable in these spots. The Dodgers may not be a perfect pitching team every single night, but their offense is so strong that they can still win games even when the arms are not dominant. That gives them a very high floor in a matchup like this. The clear play here is Dodgers moneyline, and if you want to get aggressive, the run line is in play too. Last one, Boston and Los Angeles. Boston has been much better on the pitching side, and that really matters in a game like this because the Angels have not been producing enough offense to make life easy on anybody. The Red Sox may not have an elite offense either, but they have enough structure and enough recent stability to be the more trustworthy side. The Angels are coming in cold, and that is a problem when your offense has been struggling to create consistent pressure. Their bullpen is also not strong enough to feel safe if the starter runs into trouble. That makes them a tough team to trust even at home. Boston's bullpen edge is a major reason I like them here. When a game is likely to stay controlled, the better relief team matters a lot. And in this matchup, Boston has the cleaner overall setup. The side I like is Red Sox moneyline. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who's betting these games tonight. It really helps the channel grow, and it makes a huge difference in helping me keep these daily picks and breakdowns coming for you. I appreciate every bit of support, and it means a lot to keep building this with you all. I'll be back with more picks, more breakdowns, and more value in the next one, so make sure you stay tuned. Catch you in the next video.